Hi, this is Dawn Marie Young, and I'm here doing a series on the principles of family banking. And this video is going to focus on Principle 2, which is creating positive cycles. Previously, I did a video on the first principle, which is stability. So if you haven't seen that one, you can go find it. But Principle 2, creating positive cycles, is where the power happens. It's the engine of the family banking concept, so it's where I get excited. So I'm going to start with a story of the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. And so it's kind of like a little parable, but there's a man that goes into a town and he walks into a hotel and says, I need to get a room. I had plans with an associate, but I can't get a hold of him, and those plans have fallen through. But I'd like to look at the rooms before I go ahead and decide to stay here. And so the hotel manager says, oh, sure thing. We just require a $100 deposit in advance. And so the man puts down his $100 deposit, and immediately after he's taken out to go look at the rooms, the bank manager sends a runner with $100 down the street to pay a debt that's due that day at the butcher's. And the butcher no sooner receives payment of the $100 and he hurries next door to pay off a debt of his own at the baker's, and gives the $100 to him. The baker takes the $100 and hurries back up the street to the candlestick maker, to whom he has promised a $100 payment. Now, the candlestick maker he walks across the street to the hotel. He has a debt at the hotel of $100, and he pays off that debt. And then the man looking at rooms gets a call from his associate. Oh, it looks like my plans will work out after all. I don't actually need to get a room. So he collects his deposit and goes on his way. And he's only there for a brief time in that town, but never suspects that in that brief visit, he was able to help 4 businesses get $100 less in debt. So that little story is kind of a what-if situation, not like life actually happens that way, but its purpose is to demonstrate that a lot of times it's not just the money, but the movement of money that makes the difference. So this brings us to the second principle of family banking, which is about the movement of money or cycles happening in your life with your money that are helpful and positive for you. So I want to show the movement of money, kind of how even before I saw this concept, how I saw the movement of money. And I'm going to just basically draw a line. I'm going to use a little metal bar because then the line won't move on me while I'm talking. But so the idea is to save up money, and the movement goes up above the line as you're saving. This is like the zero line. As you save money, you're up above the line, and then you make a purchase. Like maybe you need to buy a car, so you spend that money and start saving up money again so that you can, say, take a family trip and come back down. So you're moving up above this line as you're saving and spending that savings amount that you'd saved. And then a lot of times in life, the goal might be to be up here above the line, but sometimes you drop down below the line. Say you need to buy the car first in order to get to work, so you come down below the line to buy the car and then work to pay it off as you are now able to get to your job because you have a car. And whatever, maybe after that you continue to use that pattern and you're down here below the line. Or maybe most likely we do some of both, where we save up money for a purchase and then an emergency happens, the dryer breaks or whatever, and we go down below the line and pay that off, and we save up for a trip, and then it ends up costing a little more than we expected, and we might go down below the line and then work to pay it off. But basically we're going along this baseline, above or below. And then sometimes life might get extremely, well, a little bit more traumatic, and the line gets redrawn, and they put the line down here, and this bottom line is the maximum credit line. That's the one you want to stay away from for sure. Like a hot potato, you're jumping away from that line. Hopefully you haven't experienced that. In the family banking concept, we redraw the line also, but we put the line at a diagonal, so it's going up like this. And as you do those same movements, you're saving up money, spending, saving up money, the cycle is at the same time building this upward line. So I'm just going to read it here. With the family banking concept, we draw a new line. Again, this line goes up on a diagonal. The necessities of life are still causing the movement of money, the saving, the spending, the paying back, but the movement is no longer dancing around the zero line, but instead continually building on an upward cycle. A cycle is a pattern of movement. It's not something that I can give to you. It's not something that you can buy. It's just something that you do. And a lot of times when, like any new practice that you start, it might take a little bit of discipline, some dedication to it, and some work. For me, I had to start small, and I had to stop focusing on what I didn't have, and I had to start focusing on what I did have in order to create something, a starting place, something to start with. And so I also like to call this a gratitude cycle, because that focusing on what you have that's required for that is the same principle as gratitude. So, like I said, the cycle may start out small, but the movement adds upon itself, and you soon find that you're no longer dancing around that zero baseline, which leaves you constantly starting over again. Instead, you're building your personal financial reserve, and that stability that we talked about in Principle 1. Your life continues to play out. The same movement is going on, but instead of going into debt or using up your savings to meet the demands of life, you borrow against your personal financial reserve, and you use it as collateral for your purchases. So you follow the diagonal line, the same movement of money, but because you collateralize, the line continues to go upward amidst the saving, buying, and paying back. And your life is ongoing and building in this positive cycle. Family banking allows your money to do more than one job. It maximizes the value of each dollar. And one of the big parts of that is how this family bank is set up. And like I said, we build that reserve of stability, and we then collateralize your spending. And we put it in a place where it can grow without interruption, where it's not subject to market volatility, but has continuous growth guarantees. So that's really important. It's protected from ongoing taxes, and the growth is never taxed at all. It's under your ownership, so no one else is dipping into it for their own interests and needs. It's in a place that continues to grow even if you become disabled and can no longer contribute to it. That's super powerful. It provides protection for your family now and in the future. So I wanted to share a little bit of how I've had personal power in this concept as I've worked to use it. So I'm going to just some examples of how it has helped me. And it hasn't looked perfect. Not like that well-balanced engine that I imagine it's supposed to be. And maybe eventually I'm hoping that we'll continue to work on it so that those cycles do start looking more like a well-balanced engine. But even so, I have seen results. I've had more order in and handling my money. I've had a more systematic approach to problems that arise. I have a bigger picture so that it keeps the molehills as molehills, those bumps in the road. The molehills don't turn into mountains, but I recognize them as just molehills. The understanding of another turn of the clock, and we will continue moving forward. It's amazing how much hope plays a part in making it through a difficult situation. I know where I'm headed, so the current problem becomes just a step on the path. Maybe it's even a detour from the path, but I know where I'm headed, and these detours and problems just become another step in the cycle. Part of the journey, not the end result, and not a never-ending pit of struggle. So the struggle becomes purposeful, and it becomes worth it. Some of the things I had to work with as I put this into practice was delayed gratification. And that one can be a struggle. And at first you might go, why would anyone want delayed gratification? Because that's part of what I had to work with in getting this started. And the benefits of delayed gratification is it gives you more prudence, it gives you more wisdom of what's really important, and it allows you to see the bigger picture, and have gratitude, like I talked about before, because you see what you do have to work with, and that's what you're focused on. It helps avoid materialism, or that feeling of chasing a sale. I have to get this now because it's on sale. I'm going to lose out. That kind of struggle, it is minimized with delayed gratification, and it just keeps things in perspective. Another benefit of putting these cycles into place in my life was it's a concept that seems to harness time. Time is working for you instead of against you. It doesn't feel like you're wasting as much time because there's a pattern set. You're not constantly trying to figure things out. It's like having boundaries that give you more freedom. So with this upward climb on that line, I'll pick this up again, that diagonal upward line, life starts looking up again. And so that's the power that I wanted to share today of this principle 2, creating positive cycles with your family banking concept. So my next video will be the third principle, which is preparation. And until then, thanks for watching.